Oh no, I've got some internals to fit. I hate this bit. So this is the simple setup. We have one humbucker that's going to be close to the bridge, and we have a bridge that has piezo pickup stuff underneath. So you're going to get some acousticy kind of sounds as well as this. Now in future you might be able to split those. It's more than possible with that wiring, but I'm not going to bother for now. So the first thing I need to check is whether this setup actually puts out the same amount of power as one of these. Now apparently on the website it said it should plug in and just sound about the same levels, but best off checking that. And here's my cunning plan for just such a thing. Step 1, take the first guitar you ever made. Step 2, establish bass volume level. Step 3, insert piezo bridge roughly under those strings. Step 4, roughly bodge to check sound levels. Huzzah! No preamp needed. Okay, good. So we've now established that and that are going to give out pretty much the same levels of volume. So I don't need a separate preamp for the piezo bridge, which is cool. I intend to have along here really minimal control. So a volume that will do everything, a tone pot for the humbucker, and then a three-way switch so you can select either that or both. And I'm going to do that as a Telecaster style plate across the top, because there's no cavities in here. There's certainly no back plate on this one. So we're going to do it on the front, which means I need to create a separate little compartment for it all to fit in. Something that's going to come off, probably off here, that fits along there, that's going to fit underneath everything with the plate with the controls on the top. But I have one little concern to start with, and that is the height of this already. So this isn't on any of the poles yet, and there's the thickness of a sheet of this to go on top as well, and it's pretty much epically way too high as is. So that's hitting on there, look, that is not going to work. So the bridge needs to go down a bit. Well, so that's not too bad. We can chamfer this area here. We can take some off that, because it's quite a decent sized drop to the edge, so we can lose a little bit of that and still have some curve left. So let's do some measuring, and then I'll get the sandy pot out and take this down so that this can actually sit at the correct height with strings, so we've got a little bit of adjustment. You're keeping up with all this, right? Now, if you understand what's going on at the moment, leave a comment, because currently I haven't got a clue. Making it up as I go along, which quite frankly is what I prefer to do anyway.
That was fun!
Okay, so we've now gone down enough there for it all to fit, and it's left this section here pretty much flat with the edges. So that section of the guitar will be pretty flat, but at this point we still have some slope to the edges here. So a tiny preview I've cut out from this tryout template. Down here it's going to be flat. Up here it's still going to have that nice little curve about it. I think that's going to look rather yummy, don't you? So now with the bridge line put on, we can position this where we want it, and then I can draw around and hollow out that section before putting the face on the top, because that face is going to be a little bit fragile for routing in, I think, so that's going to be hand cut afterwards. I feel so much more comfortable working with the piece in my hand, drawing around it in the right place, and then cutting that very specifically to that piece. how I've always worked. Rather than measurements and jigs and things like that, I much prefer to have the item in my hand and work with that. Genuinely terrified of that punching through the back. Again, with the plywood, it's not the neatest in the world, but hand cut, it's there. It will plug in that pickup. Right, okay, so I think the next task is going to be to build some kind of platform out here that will form a kind of tray, if you like, for the control panel to screw onto. Okay, so we're going to cut out a few bits of plywood so that they will sit inside a tray there. So we'll have a wall along this side, one along this side, and then ends that actually I can screw the top down that will hold these items, just like a Telecaster design. Now, obviously, you're looking at that thinking it's way too high. So, lucky for you, I have a magic wand. Bibbidi bobbidi boo. So it looks a lot more like that now, all nice and flush and level. So when we put the test piece over the top, it all fits rather nicely and gives a little bit more support under that area when you're grabbing your tone pots and flicking switches down here as well. Speaking of tone pots and switches, we best make that plate, hadn't we?